Oh, well, that's kind of different than the way they told me it was, huh? And that's really what kind of made him rethink his willingness to participate in that kind of thing. But now here's a hard question, and you know, I don't mean to be cheeky or whatever about it, but I think it really does matter, and I wonder whether you've considered this and what you think of this. You know, my friend Bill Kelsey flies relief missions.
By the way, he's a friend of Alan Pogue's, too.
Oh, okay, there you go. So you know Bill.
Pogue.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and Bill says, hey, listen, I understand that when I'm flying, you know, food aid and medical aid and doctors and equipment and things to help victims into a war zone like Afghanistan, I know that I'm kind of helping the war. In a way, I'm part of the Pentagon's plan. When the Pentagon says, okay, we're going to kill these people here and these people there, they know that good people are going to be trying to clean up their mess behind them, and then they can rely on that to a certain extent. That there's so many people who are willing to go and be, say, for example, civilians helping in Afghanistan, or who are willing to bring injured children to the United States. In a sense, maybe, you know, you say you're good PR for our national security. Maybe you're good PR for the Pentagon. Maybe you make it easier for the empire to do what it does, do you think?
Well, that's not the primary objective. The primary is...
Well, certainly not.
is to help someone who has been hurt. In a national security argument, just a straightforward, very, commonsensical recognition of reality. When we drop bombs on people's children, they get angry. And I think that it boils down to, at the end of the day, so long as the powerful reject the restraint of law, they're going to sow the seeds of terrorism. I think that that's kind of a given. But to get to Kelsey's point, I agree with him, and I've had experience of that. Non-government organizations and others can be used. But we don't take money from the government. And if you look at the website, we are very, very straightforward in our opposition to the war. We're very straightforward about what should be done to the people who committed this. This is straightforward aggression. In other words, the supreme crime under international law, differing from other war crimes only in that it contains within itself the accumulated evil of the whole. We're responsible, and it's an expression not only of compassion and concern for the people who have been victimized, but it's also a clamor for justice for the people who perpetrated the crime. And I don't know that, where the, when Kelsey flies one of these missions, I don't know where the funding comes from. I don't know whether he's permitted to express himself that way. I have no idea, but that's what we're doing.
Well, and of course, I agree with you, and of course, Bill does too, and he continues to do it because, after all, I'm an individualist, and here you are helping an individual. In fact, in these cases, all the people that you're helping here are children who, by definition, absolutely could not possibly have deserved it, no matter what kind of spin you could put on it. They're all innocent victims, and they all deserve help, and you've done a great job. This is heroic work, just watching this 15-minute video on your website, which I urge everyone to go and look at. It's at nomorevictims.org. This is really heroic work that you've done here, and you really deserve a lot of credit for it. So now, in the last couple of minutes here, please tell the audience, because I know they're dying to know. Get your pens out, everybody. How can they help you at nomorevictims.org?
Well, here's what we're doing. We're moving into kind of the third phase of this. We've brought a bunch of children, and we have, created a method for effectively evacuating a child and providing medical assistance to the child. And there's a group called, and I'd urge people to visit that site, it's called healingchildrenofconflict.org, healingchildrenofconflict.org. Now, that's a group in Michigan that is basically going to duplicate, and with some modification, the No More Victims model. And they're actually going to work to help kids in Gaza, kids in Iraq, and kids in, perhaps, they haven't fully discussed this, but kids in Afghanistan, and I'm hoping that they will do that. And they'll be doing it independently, raising their own funds. I will be helping by consulting, and I'll provide all the assistance I can in terms of contacts and everything. Because I'm not in the least interested in growing a big top-down organization. I want people at the grassroots to see that it's possible for them to do this and then just to decide to do it. And they can do it, in their way with my assistance, and I'll help as much as I can. My website is www.nomorevictims.org. They can go there. They can see the video. In addition to the video that you saw, there's a bunch of other video there. And I have about 300 hours of video that I've shot with the families. And we're working on putting together a documentary that will, one piece that I have not seen in documentaries is this particular piece where community groups are actually organizing to provide assistance to injured children as an expression of opposition to war. I haven't seen that element really in any documentary, so we're working to put together a documentary. Obviously, we got hit really hard by the the Wall Street implosion, all these bankers running off with their filthy lucre, which hurt people all over the country. And that's obviously had an impact on No More Victims. If anybody can part with a dime or two here or there, that would be hugely helpful to us. And then we're going to be posting, as more medical reports come in, we're going to be posting them, and then we'll be actively seeking out people in communities around the country who want to put together projects of their own, and then we'll facilitate those. So it's, I just hope that people will just recognize that this is an option. There's so much important work going on, and I can't tell you how many times I've been in the Middle East listening to you on the radio. And
really?
Earlier on, it was you and Charles Goyer,
Yeah.
And to hear that going on, I mean, that's a huge encouragement to someone like me out there, just trying to make this happen.
Oh, that's great to hear.
People really think that they are more limited than they are. There's a lot that we can do, and that sensation of powerlessness. If you think about it, we're by definition the most powerful political actors who've ever lived. We live in far and away the most powerful military empire that the planet has ever produced. We are relatively free, and that by definition gives us a great deal of influence. But people seem to accept that there's nothing they can do, and I think it's a fallacy. And I think that the work of No More Victims, and it's not just me, it's Alan Pogue, it's Ashley Severance, it's Ann Miller. By the way, I met the woman I married doing these projects. A woman by the name of Ann Cothran got in touch with me. She's from South Carolina, probably the reddest state in the country. And she got in touch with me and said that she wanted to do something. And she eventually brought two kids, Sally Alawi and her sister Russell, for prosthetics treatment in South Carolina. We met as a result of that, and now we're married.
That's great. Well, I got to tell you, you really do set a great example, and people are so frustrated, and it really is the question on the tip of everybody's tongue. I get it all day long, and that is, what can we do about it? And, I say follow Cole Miller. Go to nomorevictims.org. There's an example for you guys to emulate, y'all.
Well, this is a juggernaut going down. I don't know. If we need to close, that's fine. But I grew up in Wyoming. In fact, I dropped out of the high school that Dick Cheney graduated from, which looks wonderful on a resume. And I loved to ski. It was my favorite sport. And there's not much to do when you're riding up the chairlift, but there was always that guy who was in a little over his head, who was on a slope that was a little too steep and a little too bumpy. And he'd start off down the hill, gradually gaining momentum, and there was this magic moment that you could always discern when he crossed the speed Rubicon, and the only way he was going to stop was by falling. And the longer he held on in desperation, the harder he would fall. And it's as if this American empire has reached that stage. I mean, we're broke, we're bankrupt, yet we're escalating wars, expanding wars, it's kind of astonishing to watch.
Well, I really do have to wrap it up here. We got to move on to our next guest, but this is really heroic work that you're doing here, Cole, and I really appreciate your time on the show. I hope we can do it again soon.
Me too. Great speaking with you.
All right, everybody, that's Cole Miller from nomorevictims.org. Go and check it out. And we'll be right back after this.